Can you name me any better hundreds? I said when he came in, when we'd lost those 2 wickets early, this might be the most pressurised situation Joe Root's ever been in.
And he's your best player. You need your best players to stand up in these moments. He's the ultimate team player and plays for the team, but he'd have really wanted to tick this one off on a personal level, wouldn't he?
We felt a lot over the years in Australia where you just get ahead of the game, you think, okay, another good half an hour and we're really ahead of this game, bang, lose a wicket, there's a strike.
It's Harry Brooks. What did you make of that?
Poor dismissal. He's 31 test matches in now. He needs to learn pretty quickly. Starc was again on fire. I think that his last 3 test matches he's got something like 26 wickets. So England need to find a way to play him because can't keep just donating him 6 wickets every inning.
Stop the clocks. The wait is over. Joe Root has his test century in Australia. 325 for 9 at stumps. Joe Root still there, 135 not out. Broady, you are grinning from ear to ear. What a day for that man, Joe Root.
Very special. I don't think it'd be far off from saying it's his best ever 100 for England. Certainly top 5 because he comes in at, they say 2 for 5 over here in Australia, but we know that as 5 for 2. I'm not getting confused. But basically, England had lost 2 wickets and he was under pressure. So Mitchell Starc's charging in with a brand new pink ball. It was zipping around. The Gabba crowd were up and about. And Joe Root just calmly came out, went about his business, left the ball outside off stump when he needed to. He did give half a chance to Steve Smith, who dived across first slip to try and catch it. But that was it for the day. And he just wedged in. It was, dare I say, sort of old school Joe Root in a sense that he just had a tempo about him that he accumulated. He clipped off his hips. He punched through the offside. He drove beautifully down the ground. And I must admit, I don't know if emotional is the right word, but when that century came, the Barmy Army obviously up, going berserk, all the England players out onto the balcony, and the Australian fans were amazing. They were up clapping, appreciating the quality of player he is. 160 test matches, his first 100 in Australia. He'll be most pleased that he won't have to talk about that ever again. He won't have to answer questions. We've had Matthew Hayden delighted in the commentary box. The nervous 90s, I think everyone was feeling it in the Gabba. It was, it was a really special moment. We don't know what a good score is yet. We don't know how the pink ball necessarily will play, but anything over 300 you feel is a slight psychological advantage, and that is all down to Joe Root.
I was going to say it's a fantastic day for him, and at the start of the tour he's saying all the right things about it's not about him, and as long as he contributes to England wins, and if he goes home without a test 100 but the urn, he'll be a very happy man. But I think deep down this must have really been something that he desperately wanted to tick off. Knowing him so well as you do, he's the ultimate team player and plays for the team, but he'd have really wanted to tick this one off on a personal level, wouldn't he?
I think so, and sometimes I look at it where the game looks after certain players, and Joe Root has been our greatest ever batter, 160 test matches, consistent, scored runs all around the world, and it's just not worked out in Australia that he's got 100. He's got a couple of 80s, and he comes into this game, no Cummins, no Hazelwood, who have been fantastic, unbelievable leaders for Australia and have managed to get Rooty out, I don't know exactly, but double figures each, I think. And Nathan Lyon gets left out of the test match, which is another conversation altogether, and I can't get my head around that at all. But players that he's faced, bowlers that he's faced a huge amount of, and bowlers that have got him out, suddenly out of the side, and he's facing Starc, of course, got him twice in Perth, but legendary bowler. But then you have Doggett, second test match. Boland hasn't necessarily caused Rooty too many problems over the years. Nisa comes in for his fourth test match with the pink ball. No spinner, and Cameron Green bowling shorter spells. So it almost feels like if there was ever a chance, Joe, I don't know if Rooty would be thinking in his mind, gosh, this morning, good pitch, pink ball, if there's ever a chance I'm going to get 100, it's today. And I just feel like the game repaid the legendary status that Joe Root is today.
Yeah, I'm just going to take you back to my morning. I woke up again, no alarm, but sort of 4:45. Just sort of tuned in over here in England, watching it on silent on my phone in bed. And again, that man Starc picks up a wicket in the first over again. Ollie Pope drags one on like I say, Root coming out to bat, it just felt like such a massive moment, obviously for him personally, but also for the team. And I just think, great players, when the team needs you, as Joe Root has done so many times for England, just stands up. And, it was almost like normal service was resumed. He got through that sort of initial 3 or 4 ball spell from Starc, where you mentioned a sort of 1 in 10 chance that Smith may have held on to that. But from that moment on, it was just trademark Joe Root. And you know what it's like in the dressing room when he's in the middle and sort of controlling things. It just makes everyone else feel at ease. And he's your best player. You need your best players to stand up in these moments. And we've waited, 12 days between tests? There's been so much talk, everything about, he's got to deal with, have they done the right thing with practice and preparation, etc. And for him to come out and take all that on his shoulders and score a fantastic 100 today, I thought it was a testament not only to his skill level, but also the character and what a leader he is for this team. Obviously not captain anymore, but since McCullum and Stokes have taken over, his batting has gone to another level, and he's led the team fantastically well in situations where they've needed him, and they absolutely needed him today. And just watching him, I think those elements of what he's talked about that McCullum has given him of tactically the way he played. I thought he moved around the crease nicely. There's times where I thought he was getting a bit more across in his backwards trigger movement. Sometimes he kind of stays alongside the ball in England, but it looked like he was trying to just cover that channel a little bit more to me. He gets down the wicket to Boland. That review, how he takes out LBW that was unsuccessful. That shows how he is managing those situations. And I just thought it was a fantastic innings. And as a teammate and friend, you're just delighted for him, because it will mean so much to him. And obviously it means so much to England, getting them to the close 325 for 9. You said it's hard to judge if that's a good score at the moment, but from 260 odd for 9, this has been a great partnership, Root and Archer, to get them up to a good score.
Yeah, it was quite an odd period of play, in a sense that you got the sense Australia were trying to slow everything down to minimise the period of time they'd have to bat under lights with a brand new pink ball. So Jofra Archer and Joe Root came together with probably 40 minutes left of the day's play. So you're thinking, okay, well, if they bat for 10 minutes, you get a 10-minute break, so 20 minutes with the brand new ball. And it's almost like Aussie's got so obsessed with slowing everything down and maybe getting it to a place where they have to face 3 overs, where they could send a night watchman instead of Travis Head, that actually they forgot about the plan. I don't think they bowled one proper bouncer to Jofra Archer. They just bowled sort of fuller balls that he was able to hit down the ground, or that hip height that he was able to swat away. Root played so calmly, played one brilliant scoop for 6, but then just knocked it in little gaps and did what he did. And ultimately, I think it's the second best partnership of the day, and gets England to, I'd say, a pretty healthy first innings score. It felt one of those days that England fans, England players, we felt a lot over the years in Australia, where you just get ahead of the game, you think, okay, another good half an hour and we're really ahead of this game, bang, lose a wicket, there's a strike. There was a run out between Joe Root and Ben Stokes where the scoreboard hadn't really moved. Stokes tried to nick a single, got sent back. Josh Inglis, brilliant bit of fielding, really reminded me of that moment with James Vince back in 2017 at this ground, the Gabba, where England were absolutely cruising. Vince 80 not out, tried to get a single to Nathan Lyon, one-handed pickup, direct hit, and the whole energy flowed, and Stokes got run out, and then Jamie Smith came in, got a beauty off a crack through the gate, and suddenly 2 wickets have fallen. And that's what's made Joe Root's 100 even more impressive. What he's had to deal with throughout the day. 5 for 2, you're coming in, pressure's on, Starc's up and about, swinging it around, it's nipping, it's bouncing. Gets going again. Suddenly Crawley loses his wicket. Brookie then comes in with full of energy, scooping and dancing down the track, gets a wicket. So he's constantly having to try and rebuild little partnerships where he can, and that didn't change his rhythm, his energy. He's the best player I've ever seen who finds things in nets that he can then replicate in a match. He often comes out and net and go, yeah, triggers back where it needs to be. Yeah, the hands are moving, they're flowing like I want them to. And he looks like he's used these days in between the games to just find something. He looks still when the ball's being delivered. He doesn't look rushed at all. And he was able to manipulate the ball in areas that he wanted to. So yeah, I mean, can you name me any better hundreds. I said when he came in, when we'd lost those 2 wickets early, this might be the most pressurised situation Joe Root's ever been in as a Test match cricketer in 160 tests. Can you think? He's obviously got bigger hundreds. He's got top double hundreds in Test match cricket. But for the scenario, for the series, how it is, can you see bigger Test match hundreds for him?
Certainly not off the top of my head. He's played 160 tests, 40 Test hundreds now, and some of those will have been vitally, vitally important. But right now, in the biggest challenge that England have faced, in a series where we have suddenly got so much hope that we can do well after the disappointment of the first Test, to, as we've just mentioned, your best player to stand up and get a brilliant 100 on day one to get your side into a really good position, and with all the baggage of, what's this now, his 4th tour to Australia and not having got that 100. It's a massive innings for him. Personally, I think it's a massive innings for the team as well, because it's another narrative that's now been quietened down of extra noise around the group, and it's sort of normal service has resumed. Joe Root is Joe Root as we've always known him, and especially in these last few years, the conversion rate of hundreds is unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. So huge credit to him, absolutely delighted for him. And yeah, it was just amazing to watch. Like you say, how he manages all these situations. He's always got that smile on his face, but he's got some serious mental strength, some serious Sheffield steel in there to be able to deal with all those things that you mentioned and just play so serenely is incredible. It's been fantastic to watch him, and he's just getting better and better, which is so exciting for England fans. You mentioned his partnership with Jofra.
Can I share just 2 bits of information that I heard on the radio today that haven't been verified necessarily, but I heard them on the radio, so I can repeat them. We can lob in the sort of tags. Couple of bits that really made me smile throughout the day. First one, when Josh Inglis ran out Ben Stokes, brilliant bit of fielding, incredible bit of work. Information came through from a tweet that's the first wicket that someone born in England has got in the series. Because England wicket takers in Perth, Jofra Archer born in Barbados, Brydon Cast, South Africa, Ben Stokes in New Zealand. So that really made me smile. Gus Atkinson, Mark Wood didn't take a wicket. And the other bit, which knowing Rooty like I do will wind him up a little bit, is now he's joint in being involved in run-outs for England at 13 with fellow Yorkshireman Sir Geoffrey Boycott.
Oh, that's brilliant to hear. Absolutely. It's great to bring him back down a peg, isn't it? After
just bring him back down.
Day.
Well, yeah, I might see him tomorrow. Well played, Joe, but you've equalled Geoffrey Boycott in the run-outs.
I was going to say, did you see him at the end of play or get a chance to congratulate him?
I haven't seen him yet. No, you know what these day-nighters are like. It sort of really gets quite late on you, and you're darting around doing different things. He'd have gone straight into the written press, I would assume. But he was out there since the 3rd over all day in the blazing heat of Brisbane, and then into the evening. So I'm sure he's resting, he's recuperating, getting ready, because he's going to be in the field all day tomorrow as well.
Absolutely. One other thing I did love was his celebration, just that understated, as if you doubted me kind of thing. And someone else who will have absolutely loved that celebration is Matthew Hayden, who had probably more skin in the game than anyone else on this Joe Root 100. And he's got a message for Joe, which you can hear now.
G'day, Joe. Congratulations, mate, on 100 here in Australia. Took you a while, and there was no one that had more skin in the game than me. Literally, I was backing you in for 100 in a good way. So, mate, congratulations. 10 50s and finally 100. You little ripper, mate. Have a beauty and bloody enjoy it.
Great to hear from Matthew Hayden there. Send us your thoughts on Rooty's 100 in the comments. We'll get through some of those tomorrow. And Broady, let's look at the day more in general. Starc again, star performer with the pink ball. It always seems to be that man.
He's ridiculous, isn't he? Today came on 3 different times and got a wicket in his first over again. Got Duckett first ball, then came on, got Harry Brook, and then got Will Jacks, I think. So, look, not the greatest batting you're ever going to see. But Starc was again on fire. I think that his last 3 Test matches, he's got something like 26 wickets or something insane like that. He's just getting better and better. We know how much he loves this pink ball. He's quite difficult to see with the pink ball, and did get some movement with it when it was brand new. But it's that angle across that the right-handers are not dealing very well with, and able to, they're sort of just nicking the balls they're looking to drive through extra cover. So yeah, England ultimately, with that situation, this is a must-win game for England, but it's only going to get harder for England because Cummins, by the sounds of it, is going to be back for Adelaide. Hazelwood, we're unsure, but Stark's in the form of his life, and ultimately he's the major threat in this bowling attack. There is no doubting about that. You look at the figures, don't know off the top of my head, but no one else really threatened the scorers, so to speak, today. But Starc grabbed the game again, senior bowler, and just came in and got 6 big wickets as well. You know, he's arguably in the form of his life, and he's saved it for the first 2 tests of the Ashes. So England need to find a way to play him, because can't keep just donating him 6 wickets every innings, particularly with potentially a bit of, not lack of quality, because they're obviously fine Test match bowlers, but they're not Pat Cummins and Josh Hazelwood. So it feels like England need to find a way to play Mitchell Starc better, because yes, he's bowling some jaffers, but they're also gifting him a few poles.
Yeah, absolutely. And he goes past Wasim Akram today for the most Test wickets by a left armer. You mentioned Starc sort of being that experienced bowler on his own in this attack. One bowler who has so much experience, Nathan Lyon, who's been left out. Has that been a huge talking point around the commentary box? Massive.
And no one has really found a reason why it's the case. You know, he's got 560 odd Test match poles. He's been brilliant against England. He bowls really well in Australia. Doesn't necessarily need the spinning tracks. It's great when you're in the commentary box.
Conditions haven't played as expected. Then it's not moved as much as maybe people thought it would.
I don't know the reason. I honestly have no idea the reason behind it. So, it's great in the commentary box because you have all the TV companies, all the radio companies sort of gather in the same meeting spots, and you bump into legends all over the place, and everyone's just going, don't get it. Can anyone give me a reason why Nathan Lyon won't play? Anyone give me a reason? And no one's been able to come up with one really. He's fully fit. He's absolutely seething. He's not playing. And Australia at times looked a little bit samey. Obviously, you've got the danger of Mitchell Starc, 6 furs, held the bowling group together. But there are times where Boland and Nisa are bowling with the keeper up day one of a Test match that is unheard of here in Australia. So I think halfway through the day, just before Brook got out, maybe when Crawley had played so nicely, the selectors were probably thinking, might have got this one slightly wrong. But there were a couple of dismissals that England will be disappointed with, without a doubt. And that's why it's hard to know whether this is a above par score or not.
Yeah, one of those dismissals that I think I've seen you talk about online was Harry Brooks. What did you make of that?
Poor dismissal. He's obviously such a brilliant talent and has played innings that are just beyond belief at times. But he's now not played 8 Test matches. He's played 31. He's now a crucial member batting number 5. And just in the last 3 Test matches, we've got 3 examples of a lack of game awareness, understanding the scenario. Take it back to the Oval against India. We're absolutely cruising. He's got a brilliant 100, chips it in the air, gets out. We lose by 6 runs. We get to the Optus Stadium in Perth. Brilliant first innings, 50, 60 odd. Comes out, pressure on, lazy, no footwork, nicks it to slip. Okay, Aussies are moving. And today, just getting to that twilight period, or in the twilight period, guys are going really nicely. Ruti's playing well. Brooks got to 24, 25. The first ball he faces from Mitchell Starc back into the attack. Big drive, snicked it to slip. And that brings Stokes in the twilight. Stokes' record against Starc is below par for his numbers. So it puts his captain under huge amount of pressure straight away. Stokes is a very positive person, always thinking about the positive in the game. There's no doubt at some stage in the last couple of weeks he's thought, just at the Gabba, I'd like to just come in when the sun's shining, maybe when Nisa's bowling and get one off my hip and get moving before Starc comes in, and just exposes that middle order at times. And it was a poor shot in the situation that the team were in, and he lives on the edge. He tried to scoop earlier in the innings and nearly got stumped because both feet came out, and you're thinking, core, if he'd been out to that, that would have been a problem. But yeah, I feel like if there's, he's so still at the crease, got brilliant technique. He plays shots that you just go, wow, this guy's the most talented guy we've ever had. But there's just moments in test matches, Ashes test matches, you're playing for your country at the Gabba, difficult place to come. You just have to realise the situation of what's going on around you, and Starc's the only threat in this test match today. He's by far the best bowler that Australia have got on that field. So to gift him a wicket first ball of his spell and expose the middle order was, I don't know, just lacked a bit of awareness for me.
Yeah, I think it'll be one of these learning curves for Brookie. I think he's obviously had such an amazing start to his test career, and as you mentioned, he's touched by genius, which he plays shots that none of us could imagine playing in test cricket, and his record is fantastic. But I think he wants to be the best player in the world, no doubt about that, and that's what his aim should be, because he's got that ability, and he's probably got the best example of how to manage situations and moments in the game in his Yorkshire teammate who bats at number 4. So I'm sure Brookie will probably take a little bit of that. And one guy I just thought of who was the same for England, you played a lot with, is touch with genius, is Kevin Pietersen. And I just wonder if you think there's any similarities or things about the genius of these batters, but they live on the edge a little bit. But KP was good with those moments, wasn't he?
Yeah, very similar actually in their style of play. The amount of time they look like they've got in the middle, the way they can punch the ball through straight mid-wicket and find gaps and hit with power all around the ground. I'd say one of KP's absolute super strengths was situation play, was game on the line. He showed that very early on in his first ever series when he got that 100 and whatever it was, 58 at the Oval against Australia, pressure on. I'd say he was one of the greatest at realising big moments in games and going, I'm going to be here for that moment. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to soak up a bit of pressure at time. I'm going to counter attack at times. So I think the talent of Harry Brook is certainly up there with KP and Joe Root. There's absolutely no doubt. They play shots where you go, wow, that is absolutely incredible. I feel like Root and KP are ahead in the mindset game right now. Harry Brook's he's come into a brilliant environment. Stokes, McCullum, the best you could ever. Play with freedom. Do what you want to do. Let your talent express. But I'd say KP was very aware of what was happening in games and when to soak up a bowler's pressure, when to attack a certain bowler. Harry Brook will learn that, but he's 31 test matches in now. He needs to learn pretty quickly.
Yeah, another talking point of the day was Alex Carey. As a wicketkeeper, I watched in admiration, really. I thought he had a fantastic day. It's not something you do often, stand up to the stumps in test matches quite as much as he did, but the way that Root was moving around the crease, and as you mentioned, Brook dancing down, so he was up to the stumps, and I thought he put on a fabulous show. Was that something everyone was talking about from the day today?
To be honest, it's been all about Joe Root. It's been a wonderful day for Joe Root to get 100, but certainly there's a huge appreciation for what Alex Carey has done with the gloves today. Took an unbelievable catch straight up into the dark sky off Gus Atkinson, charging back. They're always the most difficult. I don't know what I'm telling you for, but you don't practice those ones too often, do you? Where you're circling back, charging back almost to fine leg to catch it. So that was pretty wonderful. He took a couple of bounces, stood up to the stumps with ease, and pretty special display from the wicketkeeper. And ultimately, what Australia do so well, they take their chances, don't they? They got a brilliant run-out chance and hit the stumps when Ben Stokes had a bit of confusion with Joe Root, and Carey was diving sort of left, right and centre to pick up any nick he could. So yeah, it was a good day out for the Australian wicketkeeper on a Gabba surface that, when it's bouncing this sort of true when you're back, is probably a bit of a keeper's dream. But that angle that Starc is creating to the right-handers is certainly bringing the slips and keeper into play.
Yeah, it's an absolute dream to stand back, but to stand up on those pitches with the extra bounce is something you do have to overcome a bit of a fear factor. It's not something you probably practice that much, because generally you are stood back, unless it's to the spinner in international cricket. So yeah, he had a fabulous day. It was good to watch. As I mentioned, Matt Pryor was on the commentary in England, so he was full of praise for Alex Carey as well, and especially some of those bounces he took stood up to the stumps, where you wonder if he got a nod that's coming, but even if you know it's coming, there's some fantastic takes there one-handed. But yeah, so much has happened today, Broady, and it's set up brilliantly for tomorrow. What do you think of this game, how it's at the moment, where is it poised, how will it play out?
I think when you win the toss and bat, you try and manipulate the game that you get a pink ball, brand new pink ball under lights with that first spell. England won't be able to do that because they had a brilliant partnership between Joe Root and Jofra Archer this evening, and they're not going to get to through the first session into mid of the next session with being 9 wickets down. So it will be pretty much a replica of day one into day two, in the fact that England will have a brand new ball in the daytime and the ball will be a bit softer when it gets to that twilight period. But it's really hard to judge what a good score is until both teams have batted on it. That's an old school saying. But the way that Crawley and Root were able to hit down the ground with ease, leaning on the ball, punching the ball, quicker outfield than Perth, makes me feel like this is a really good pitch. So the likes of Labuschagne, the likes of Steve Smith, who love batting, they love taking balls, they love digging in, they're my worry on a surface like this. They leave well outside off stump, they let you get a bit full to them, and they'll drive you down the ground. So Travis Head obviously is going to try and play with that attacking intent up top. He feels a really, really big wicket if England are going to make inroads quickly, because he can take you off length and suddenly hit you to all sorts. But those first 5-6 overs Australia bowled in the daytime with a brand new ball zipped all over the place, and England will fancy themselves against Travis Head, moving the ball across him and bringing the slips into play. But there's wickets in this pitch. There's a few cracks. A few have nipped off the surface. Jamie Smith got an unplayable delivery, and cracks don't disappear. This pitch is in this sunshine from 9 a.m. all the way through the day. So just because it's a day-nighter doesn't mean the pitch is getting covered more. It will still get baked. It will still open up. And England will be thrilled they've managed to sneak over that sort of 300 mark, because 260, that was Australia's day, without a doubt. But up to 320, well, I heard Ricky Ponting say it was England's day, so I'm going to have that.
Yeah, we'll take that. And it was certainly Joe Root's day for sure. Broady, there's a new T-shirt going around. Have you seen that one of your meme? It's a bit better than Stuart Broad's a shit bloke.
Yes. Yeah,
say that with a lot of enthusiasm.
I've had a couple of tough times with T-shirts in Brisbane, haven't I? But yeah, I probably prefer the one that a bit of a daft meme over someone calling me a shit bloke on a T-shirt. So yeah, I'll take that one.
Yeah, I can take that one. But that's it for today. Very much a day for the love of Joe Root. If you're on YouTube, hit the thumbs up button, leave us a comment and a question. If you're on Apple or Spotify, make sure you subscribe to get all our daily Ashes pods, and we will see you tomorrow. Broady, sleep well and kick 'em well.